Sweetwater County residents are outraged about the Bureau of Land Management's preferred plan for 1.8 million acres of public land. Riverton has a public poop problem, and the short but bloody history of Fort Phil Kearny near Sheridan is on display during this weekend's full moon tours. Bringing you these stories and more from Wyoming's largest news organization, I'm Wendy Core for Cowboy State Daily. Well, if you believe the consensus of the estimated 500 people who attended a Bureau of Land Management meeting in Rock Springs Wednesday, the Biden administration doesn't care at all about the economics of 5 southwest Wyoming counties. A preferred alternative selected by the BLM as part of a new resource management plan for the Rock Springs area is the most restrictive of the 4 alternatives for the plan. Sweetwater County Commissioner Taylor Jones told Cowboy State Daily that the preferred alternatives plan to reduce oil and gas production by 74% will destroy his county's economy, as Sweetwater County will likely lose about 2,500 oil and gas field jobs. Members of the Wyoming Freedom Caucus say Biden's 30 by 30 plan is the definition of tyranny. The project is a pledge to set aside 30% of American wildlands for conservation by 2030 and 50% by 2050 to fight climate change. Cowboy State Daily's Leo Wolfson reports that conservative legislators believe the 30 by 30 plan is playing out in Wyoming with the BLM's Rock Springs Resource Management Plan and is an effort to gain, quote, total government control.
The Freedom Caucus basically says that this management plan dovetails into Biden's 30 for 30 plan in that it's basically an attempt at a federal land grab, an attempt at federal overregulation, and restricting public's use on public lands.
At Tuesday night's meeting, State Representative Bill Allemand of Midwest said, quote, if this 30 by 30 plan is implemented, we will be under more tyranny and oppression than the colonists were under King George, end quote. Riverton has a public poop problem. In fact, the problem is so widespread, town officials are on the cusp of passing an anti-defecation ordinance. Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland spent Wednesday morning walking around the streets and back alleys of the central Wyoming city, visiting with business owners who regularly find human feces outside their doors, usually left there by individuals who are part of a growing vagrant population.
There are business owners who almost on a daily basis will go and pressure wash the nooks and corners behind their shops or their businesses or between their dumpsters.
On October 3rd, the Riverton City Council will consider the third reading of an ordinance in which public defecation would be punishable by a $750 fine. I'll be back with more news right after this.
At Hilltop Bank, we understand that buying a home is a big decision. That's why we're here to be your trusted partner on the path to home ownership. Our experienced mortgage team will guide you every step of the way, from pre-approval to closing. We offer competitive rates and a wide variety of home loan options to best suit your needs. With our local knowledge and personalized service, you'll feel confident and comfortable throughout the entire home buying process. Contact us today to start your journey toward home ownership. Hilltop Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Legos have been a popular pastime for generations of kids ever since their introduction in 1949. Much of the company's plastics are made from petroleum, and in an effort to be more sustainable, the company has been looking at ways to make its bricks out of recycled plastics. But as Cowboy State Daily's Kevin Kilo reports, the company discovered that would actually lead to higher carbon emissions, which would defeat the purpose.
What was really great about the company is they were honest about it. They didn't greenwash the situation and just go ahead with it for the PR. Instead, they're like, yeah, this just isn't going to be as green as we hoped.
Gillette Representative John Baer told Cowboy State Daily that it was commendable for a company like Lego to admit that a particular green initiative wasn't going to work. And much of the legacy of Fort Phil Kearny is violence and death, which makes the historic Old West Army outpost between Buffalo and Sheridan a perfect spot to tell authentically scary stories on the dark, cool evenings leading up to Halloween. Cowboy State Daily's Andrew Rossi reports that this week's annual full moon tours highlight the bone-chilling stories of death, disease, and dismemberment during the brutal 2-year occupation of Fort Phil Kearny along the bloody Bozeman Trail.
The full moon tours at Fort Phil Kearny give people the opportunity to hear some of the more gruesome details, but authentic and historically accurate details about what life was like at the fort during its brief 2-year existence.
Fort Phil Kearny was one of 3 forts along the Bozeman Trail to protect gold miners heading to Montana. With the 1868 Treaty of Laramie, the government permanently shut down the Bozeman Trail. Fort Phil Kearny was burned shortly thereafter. And that's today's news. You can find the full stories and more at cowboystatedaily.com.